There's a Japanese proverb that says, "One kind word can warm 3 winter months." I hope that's true, because I've had a few kind words and it is starting to get cold. I say starting to get, but it's been cold. Temperatures dropped pretty rapidly since the last video I dropped. And now, here, in the first days of January 2025, there's several feet of snow on the ground around Satoshi Manor. Upstairs is an ice box, but I sleep there every night anyway. My pipes have frozen, but I managed to unfreeze them and fix the toilet that would not fill. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for so much. I love that I'm here still. The mission, was to buy this house and to live in it for a year, to experience all the seasons so that I can see what needs to be fixed, what I love, what I don't love, and even if I want to live here full time. As it stands now, I don't know. I mean, this is the 3rd season. The summer was hot. The autumn was beautiful. The rainy season of November was not my favorite, but I was fortunate to leave and to go to Vietnam and to also get the chance to go to California and spend time with my daughter in Hawaii. And December has been cold. The snow started falling and it hasn't really stopped. There's been mornings that I woke up with a foot of fresh snow on the ground. Other mornings, not so much, but it doesn't go away. There was one night when I laid in bed and the snow on the roof suddenly reached a critical mass of the heavily slanted roof, which I'm so grateful for. And it all slid off, but it sounded like an earthquake or a bomb going off. And when I went out and looked in the morning, there was 3 feet of snow stacked next to the house, up to about 6 or 8 feet, honestly. So it's been an adventure. Maybe the hardest part has been a little bit of the loneliness and boredom of being here. Now, in terms of the boredom, I've written a couple of books, I've done some art, I have my ukulele, I have my guitar, I have a computer, I have an internet connection, I'm connected with friends in this way, I talk with my daughter on text or FaceTime every day, almost without fail. But still, there's a little bit of loneliness and boredom that comes. Now, in particular, as funny as that sounds, the loneliness hit the hardest after I had guests. The house felt so empty with no one here after having people here. I had a couch surfer who came and it was cool, it was fun to hang out. And then my friend from high school, all the way back to the old days, he came and stayed and hung out. And that's when the pipes froze and the toilet ceased to work as toilets are supposed to work in a Western society. But that was an adventure too. But after they left, I had other friends who came to visit. I had very sweet friends bring me birthday cake, and I've done fun things with other people. But still, the loneliness hits hard in this house by myself, surrounded by the snow here on the mountain. And so that's the biggest challenge. And the combination of loneliness and boredom, well, that can be a dangerous thing. So I'm thankful that I have these people around me, that I have friends, that I have relatives, that I have people that care about me, and that I have stuff to do as well. Also grateful that the preparations that I made for the house, the toilet notwithstanding, everything else seems to have been prepared correctly so that I don't freeze to death in the winter. And the house is pretty good. The downstairs rooms, the main room where I've set up my desk and painted the door to look like a TARDIS. That's the living room, I call it. People always tell me that I should sleep down here, but I like sleeping up in my icebox. I pull on a knit hat, I cover myself with blankets, and I also put an electric blanket down between the sheets and the mattress, and I turn that on before I go to bed. And I sleep very well up in that icebox of a room. But other people say you should sleep down next to the heater. Get a futon. I have a futon. I've slept next to the heater. It's nice, but I prefer my bed. So, the living room is nice. It's comfortable. It's where I spend the majority of my time in Satoshi Manor. Maybe it's where I spend the majority of my time in Japan, actually. because now, with the weather, it's not so easy to walk out the door, walk several miles, and just wander around town because it's cold and there's not really a lot to do in Otaru in the winter. I go skiing. This is great because I just put my boots in my backpack, pick up my skis, and walk out the door, and 15 minutes later, I am at the chairlift with my season pass and my equipment, and skiing for one run or two runs or all day if I want to. It's fun. I love the skiing. It's been such a joy to rediscover this. That's fun. Going into town, the bus is always crowded now that it's winter, because there's people riding the bus up to Tenguyama to see the snow and to go up in the gondolas. And the bus is always crowded on the way down. And actually in town, there's just not that much to do. There's restaurants, there's food, there's coffee, there's a mall, there's shopping, there's a movie theater, there's a lot of museums, there's a beautiful canal, there's lots of sights to see. But at this point, I've seen most of the sights, I've enjoyed most of the museums. The movies are in Japanese, and I'm not quite there yet where I want to pay to watch a movie in Japanese, because my language skills have not improved tremendously. I complain about boredom, but what I could be doing is just sitting here studying Japanese over and over, which would materially improve the quality of my life. I am certain of that. But it's hard to force myself to do that. So here I sit in this room most of the time. The kitchen connected to it is another room I spend a lot of time in. I've painted the doors so that now it looks like a Tokyo subway, which is what I intended to do, and it's what I did, and it's so fun to be able to do that. The project of writing on the walls and the doors and in the house, it continues on in a couple of meaningful ways. Guests sign different things. I continue to write a little bit on the walls, and also I've written a couple novels since I've been here. I've done a lot of art, and like I said, my preparations for the house mostly seem to have worked. The issues that I've noticed for winter, the floors. Now I understand why when I moved in, there were all of those carpets nailed down on the floors. Because the floors have drafts, and the cold air comes up from underneath the house. At some point, next summer, I think, I will probably put down a new floor with some insulation under it and solve that issue. Because I don't much like having carpets in a kitchen. But I see now why they had it. I think the mildew issue is solved. I hope. We'll see when the heat comes back. I think I solved it and took care of it, but it may be a situation where I need to get new tatami mats for the tatami mat rooms. And as far as upstairs, it's just so cold and it doesn't hold heat. So even if I try to heat it, the little room that I was using for an office and a gym, not really functional. As for the backyard, I've been drinking the water from the spring. It hasn't poisoned me yet. I did test it, just for like minerals content and things, but I probably need to get some real accurate test strips before I go whole hog and drinking it. But it's pretty tasty water. And on New Year's Day, I went out and jumped in the spring wearing a pair of board shorts. So I wasn't out there nude, but I was in the snow and in the spring on New Year's Day, and that felt great to do my little polar bear plunge. Now the next day, my dad was taken ill, and then he died. And that's a hard thing to deal with from here. That's been a little bit of a challenge because I'm so far away. And it happened pretty quickly. There was no telling how long he was going to last, or, it's a long trip from Hokkaido to Arizona. But yesterday he passed, and I'm grateful that he was surrounded by people that love him, and he got to have words with everyone, or from everyone, before he passed. So last night I made a piece of art for him. I painted a picture of my dad. I feel like that's a good tribute to him, It sort of sums things up. And weirdly, I don't like golf. But There was no way he was going to let me not put a golf club in that picture. I felt this compulsion against my will, forcing me to put a golf club in the picture. So that golf club is right front and center. I guess it was his passion. So I got to respect that. And maybe I'll even start playing a little golf. There is a electronic golf place down in Otaru that's open 24 hours. And I've been thinking maybe it might be fun to go check that out. So maybe that's something that I will be doing soon. Now the mission here is to stay for a full year, 4 seasons, and see what they all are. November was rainy. It was pretty terrible. And I'm glad that I took that trip to Vietnam. And I'm glad that I took that trip to Hawaii and California to see my daughter and my sister for Thanksgiving. January is feeling cold. And December was cold. Now I've heard that February is the coldest. And March is when things start warming up. I'm not sure what that's going to mean. Maybe March and April are going to be wet, muddy, still cold, rainy. I have no idea. But that season is coming, and we still have months of this before that comes. But I guess that's enough. For now, I just wanted to update you guys with some video, a little audio, talking about what's going on here. And hopefully, you all had a Happy New Year. Come to Satoshi Manor. Come visit. Aloha. Be happy.